So, the engine regulations for the 2022 season are going to remain unchanged. This is something incredibly important, but is it good news or bad news? I'll tell you who thinks that this is good news: Red Bull and AlphaTauri. As you surely know, Honda is going to leave Formula 1 in 2021, and Red Bull and AlphaTauri, of course, is going to be left without an engine. They came up with a brilliant solution to use the same factory and engine that Honda have already developed. But this plan hinges on one thing, on a very important thing: the engine regulation freeze. If the regulations wouldn't have changed, their plan would be useless. But fortunately for them, the engines are going to remain unchanged and they can go forward with their plan. It's very good news for them, and it's really great that we won't lose two great teams from Formula 1 because of a lack of engine developers. It's good news. It's good news for every team as well, for all of the teams. The same engines means less money spent on development, less money spent on designing, producing, and testing a new engine. Every team will benefit from this in terms of money and effort saved by not having to work on a new engine. So this is good news. We can potentially see new teams in Formula 1 because using the same engine regulations is going to be so cheap. And with the cost cap, it's going to be so much more affordable to go into Formula 1. It's good news for Mercedes as well. Their engine has been better than ever in 2021, the best engine in history maybe, and if the regulations will stay relatively unchanged, and they are going to stay unchanged, then they will probably have a strong engine in the future as well. So it's good news for them. But there are some parties that might not agree with the engine freeze. The decision to keep the same engine was unanimous. So technically, every team agrees with this engine freeze. But what you say in public doesn't really have to be the same thing as what you say in your head. Ferrari and Renault have been against the engine freeze from the beginning, but now apparently they've changed their mind. But before we talk about that, I want to take a second and say that I have a lot more Formula 1 content about the 2021 season and a lot of new projects planned for the future, so make sure to subscribe so you won't miss a thing. Thank you. Ferrari certainly isn't going to like this. They made an incredibly good engine in 2019 and an appalling engine in 2020. If they can't manage to improve their engine while still respecting the regulations, they are going to suffer a lot in 2021, in 2022, and in the future. Of course, they love the fact that they're not going to have to spend more money on development. All teams do. But I think that they would have loved a new start, a chance to jump the whole field, like Mercedes did in 2014 with the new regulations, with the new engine regulations. They developed a great engine and they moved from the midfield to the front of the grid into 7 years of dominance. That's what I think, at least. They were initially not in favor of this movement, but now they've changed their mind. Although Mercedes has always been in favor of this engine change, as I said, Ferrari and Renault previously said that they would not support such a movement, with Ferrari CEO Lewis Camilleri saying it was against the spirit of Formula 1. End quote. Now they changed their mind, which is a good thing. Now we can have the engine freeze, Red Bull can still be in Formula 1. But let's get back to that quote that Camilleri said, because that's a very important quote. It's against the spirit of Formula 1. And that's true. That's another thing that goes into the bad news category. F1 has always been about development, about evolving. We went from this to this in 70 years. F1 is still all about having the newest, best technology, best engines, best aero, and putting an engine freeze seems very against the spirit of Formula 1, just like Camilleri said, and I do agree 100%. I don't like seeing Formula 1 settling for an old engine, for old technology, for old parts. I love seeing what new things the engineers come up with, and the engine freeze will make things a bit more boring. F1 is the pinnacle of motorsport, the most prestigious category there is, and seeing it not move forward in terms of engine development is definitely sad. So the conclusion of this video, what do I think about this engine freeze? I think it's good news because Red Bull will still be in Formula One. They will still have an engine. It would have been awful to lose two teams from Formula One because of not having the engine freeze. So it's definitely good news. But I do not like the fact that F1 won't move forward, won't improve their engine regulations, and won't evolve. I would have loved seeing new engines, possibly new sound, more power, and a lot of other new things. But I guess that's not going to happen, is it? We just have to wait. So yeah, that was it. Stay safe and happy race watching.